Sal Berry.
But you're forgetting about Puck Attacks. Puck Attack!
I think we're all forgetting about that.
And Tim Parish.
If I was any better, I'd be twins.
The Sedin twins or the Sutter twins?
Either or. They both have millions of dollars.
We're going into ridiculousness over here.
Going off the rails.
This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Puck Junk Podcast, now on iTunes and on Stitcher, which is good because hopefully this will make it easier for everybody to listen to our show. For those of you who have been listening to our show, thank you. Obviously you could go to puckjunk.com and listen to the show, or you could go to soundcloud.com/puck-junk to listen to the show. But now it's a little bit easier if you use iTunes or if you use Stitcher. You can go to either of those platforms and do whatever you do to subscribe to the podcast. I'm also working on getting the podcast on a few other platforms, so stay tuned for that. Tim, what do you use? You usually use iTunes?
Yeah, because I still have the old iTunes player on my desktop computer. So when I'm working, I have it playing in the background, and it's all the subscribed podcast.
Yeah, I
including ours now.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty awesome, right? I mean, it was pretty cool because I kind of went back and forth with Apple. It took me 3 tries because the first try they just rejected it, but they didn't say why. And then I emailed them like 2 weeks later, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there were problems with your RSS feed." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I know what an RSS feed is because I'm a web guy, but I don't know a lot about it." So I had to do a little bit of research, and then I resubmitted it, and then nothing happened. And then they said, "Oh, it got deleted." It's like, well, I didn't delete it. But then I submitted it like the third time, and like a day and a half later, it was on iTunes. So third time's a charm.
Third time's the charm.
I feel so 2012 right now, saying that, find us on iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, as it's now called.
Well, the good thing about it is a lot of the podcast feeder type programs pull from iTunes. So a lot of people doing searching and stuff like that. All they'll have to do now is just type in Puck Junk, and there we are.
That is awesome. So I want to talk about the ever-going, I'm going to start calling it the Tops Now sticker saga, because it's called Tops Now, but it should really be called Tops When, because I still haven't gotten my first shipment of stickers.
Really?
Yeah. So we're currently on week 5. On Thursday, November 7th, towards the end of the day, they'll actually start selling the week 6 stickers. On Wednesday, November 6th, around 8:00 p.m., I got an email saying you got a shipment from Tops that is being sent, but it didn't say when I was getting it. It didn't say when it was mailed. It just said we received shipping information. It was basically FedEx just sending me the heads up. So I'm assuming that's the week 1 stickers and the book. As far as last week, so week 4, so here's something interesting. Week 4 for Tops Now sold 770 packs. Now week 3 was when they had the Capo Caco Bowman Chase sticker.
Right.
And that week they sold 1,440 packs. And then a week later, no Chase sticker, they're down to 770 packs. So from what I understand now, they're going to do a Chase sticker every 3 weeks. Will be a Chase sticker. And then if you buy between week 1 and the All-Star game, then you get like an All-Star sticker set. And if you buy between the All-Star game and the Stanley Cup Finals, then you'll get a Stanley Cup Finals sticker set, like as an incentive. But I guess like the Chase insert that might happen 1 out of every 3 packs, that's only happening every 3rd week. I don't know why. It seems like they're kind of making this up as they go along, because it's just like, great, week 3, you're going to do retro inserts. Cool. And then like they don't do it week 4, and then they don't do it week 5. And then they're like, oh, yeah, well, every 3 weeks we're doing it. Like that was like one of the bullet points of like the product features. So I guess people are like, well, I'm just not going to buy week 5 then. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if it dips from 770 packs to less than that.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously there has to be a marketing plan, right? There had to be one in place, but It sounds to me like this is one of those ones where they put something in place and then they reserve the right to change it at any time based off of how many get produced, or how many, not how many produced, but how many people
Order.
purchase and order. So,
Well, I think
because
if
they
they
are
thought
made to order, right? I
right,
mean, they're only going to print as many as they actually get.
but there was a big dip from week 1 to week 2. So
Yeah.
then during week 3, it was like they were like, "Oh no, what do we do to stimulate sales? Hey, let's do a chase sticker. Let's do it in an old card design." Okay. So then it shot up. So then you would think for week 4 they'd say, "Yeah, we should keep doing this chase sticker." And they didn't. And then so then it went from 1,400 sales to just under 800 sales. So yeah, just I wonder about that. But I do want to say real quick. So the checklist for week 4, which was 770 packs, Andrew Vasilevsky, Tony D'Angelo, Nick Leddy, Brian Little, Patrice Bergeron, Elias Pettersson, Kale McCarr, Andrei Svechnikov, and Alex Ovechkin. And then week 5, which will be available until 4 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, November 7th. The checklist for that is Jonathan Huberdeau, Matthew Tkachuk, Connor Hellebuck, Adam Boquist, Zdeno Chara, John Marino, and then the last 3 they haven't
John
released.
Marino,
Yeah,
you should get a dupe of that and give it to me.
why? What's his deal?
John Marino was he's on the Penguins roster. He got called up with all the injuries, and he's been playing pretty decent. He got his first goal the other night against the Bruins. And
Nice.
he's from Boston. He's a Harvard guy.
Oh wow, cool. That's
Yeah.
gotta be fun. Yeah, I'm actually, what I've been doing. Funny that you say that. I'm actually been doing a little bit of wait and see. Whereas like the first week for Tops Now stickers, I ordered those right away. The second week, I ordered those right away. The third week, I ordered once they announced the Chase sticker, which I actually think they announced that right away. I ordered, and then like week 4, I kind of waited till almost the end because every couple of days they'll unveil another sticker or 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if week 6 is like Jonathan Taves, Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, Carter Hutton, Alex Ovechkin, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a couple of those packs because those are all guys that I collect. You know what I
Right.
mean? And if it's like Kale McCarr and Zdeno, I like Zdeno Chara, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't necessarily want like a duplicate of that sticker. So,
I go after Kale McCarr.
oh, well, yeah, he's a Penguin.
Dude, no, Kale McCarr's on the
I'm sorry.
Avalanche. He's the
Sorry.
rookie on the Avalanche. He's tearing it up.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of the rookie you were talking about, the
Yeah,
John Marino.
John Marino. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Kale McCarr.
Kale McCarr, I picked him at the beginning of the season before the season started to win Rookie of the Year. I'm still sticking to that. Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to come back to that. So the other thing is that yeah, like I said, they gotta start shipping these stickers, and they're finally sending me something. I don't know how long it's gonna take because I selected the free option. Because I'm not going to pay $10 to ship $8 worth of stickers, not every week anyway. But I think that's another thing that, like, I almost think that like they really needed to get that first book or that first pack of stickers out right away to get people into it, and they just didn't do it. Like it was kind of like if you got the stickers at the beginning of week 3. Then you'd be like, oh, these are cool, and then you'd want to, or you know what I mean? You'd want to keep ordering, you know what I mean? You get them in your hands. But I think after the first couple of weeks, I think people are like, I still haven't gotten anything. And I've already spent like $30, $40 and I don't have anything to show for it.
That could be too. It's all about the immediacy.
Yeah. So speaking of immediacy, another one though is that came out. We have the game dated moments for week 4. Card number 11, Kirby Dach scores his first NHL goal. Card number 12, Patrick Marleau skates his 1,500 regular season game with the Sharks. Card number 13, Jets defeat Flames in the 2019 Heritage Classics. Classic. These are available from Upper Deck via upperdeckepack.com. $3.99 each with the purchase of any EPAC card. I am tempted to get the Kirby Doc card, but then again, I might kind of wait and see like how you've been doing it all along and just see what shows up on EPAC in a couple of months and, maybe.
Kirby Doc might hold his value. I mean, he's a hot rookie, hot prospect coming up. I know we talked about him a little bit the couple shows ago, I think, because he was making his debut, and I heard him on the Spit and Chicklets podcast. They interviewed him the other episode, and he seems like a very wanting to be a personality type kid, which was very refreshing to hear. Like, but I mean, everybody opens up on their show for the most part,
Right.
Because that's how they are. But I mean, even Sidney Crosby opened up on their show a little bit. But
Really?
just listening to Kirby talk, it was kind of nice to hear a guy just say what was on his mind.
That is awesome.
Not the typical pucks in deep talk.
Pucks in deep, 110%.
That's right.
Yeah, giving it all we got, Captain. Also worth noting is that Thursday, November 7th is the release date of Upper Deck Series 1 hockey. Glad to say that they haven't messed with the amount of packs per box or the amount of cards per pack. So it is 24 packs per box. It's 8 cards per pack. Retail boxes right now are pre-selling for around $60. Hobby boxes are pre-selling for about $80. You get 6 Young Gun rookie cards per box, per either box. But the other inserts obviously become a lot harder if you buy the retail boxes versus the hobby boxes. Now, we'll definitely talk more about Upper Deck Series 1 once we have some of the cards in our hands and can actually look at them and, talk a little more about them. But obviously I'm gonna collect that set this year. I'm sure you're gonna collect it too.
Of course. Why break
That's
tradition of sets I'll never complete?
Yeah, well, it took me a while, but I did complete my 07-08 set. I want to say it was like last year I completed it. Took me,
Nice.
man, it's about 10 years. It was this 17-18 season because I remember it was 10 years. It took me 10 years to complete the 07-08 set. No, wait, I'm sorry. No, yeah, the 07-08 set. And I believe I have the whole 06-07 set, but then after that it kind of like falls apart,
Yeah. The closest Upper Deck flagship set that I'm close on, believe it or not, is the 05-06 set.
Yeah, because you got the Ovechkin.
Yeah. I'm only missing 4 cards out of that set.
Ovechkin, Crosby.
I've got the Ovechkin.
Oh, sorry. Crosby, Lundqvist.
That's 2.
I'm gonna guess. Let me see. From that year, Crosby, Lundqvist, Phaneuf.
Enough. That's 3.
Wow. Okay.
One
Duncan
more.
Keith.
No, not Duncan Keith.
Is it a good player?
Yeah. In fact, he just recorded his 1000th game.
Oh man, I should know this.
Plays on the West Coast.
Oh, well, no, not Kopitar. No,
No.
Kopitar's close to his 900th point. He's on the West Coast, 1000th game.
Yep.
Um,
Come on. He's a very polarizing player. You either love him or hate him.
Well, okay, but Brad Marchand doesn't play on the West Coast.
Very true.
And Milan Lucic, he doesn't.
All right, you give up. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah,
It's
I give up.
Ryan Getzlaf.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, just played his 1000th game for the.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's in the 05-06 set. Yeah, it's
Those
funny.
are the 4 I'm missing.
I probably have. I don't have Crosby. I don't have Ovechkin. I do have Lundqvist. I'm pretty sure I have Getzlaf. I know I have Phaneuf. I had Seabrook, but then, I got it autographed. So now I want to get another one that's not autographed because one time I was going to get something signed by Brent Seabrook. And I'm like, well, might as well bring his Young Gun because that's like the best card to get signed, in my opinion. And I have a lot of other Blackhawk Young Guns cards signed nicely. So in blue Sharpie marker, when you can meet the player and get them to sign it exactly in
Sure.
what color you want to sign it. So I got like Bufflin and Parish and trying to think couple. I don't know if I got Crawford. I don't think he had a. I don't think he had a young gun that year.
Crawford was early. I think he had.
He had 0506 sets. He's in the
Yeah, but
Parker's set.
I thought his rookie was earlier than that though. But anyway,
Now he was drafted earlier, but he
never had a card.
no, yeah. So yeah, pretty interesting. And I'm still kicking myself. Maybe in 2008 or 9, I could have bought a Crosby Young Gun for $100, and I passed on it.
Yeah.
And that was at the time when it was like a 75 to like $150 card. Like it was like right around, or it was like 75 to 125, and I thought 100 was a little high, and I was just like, I'll just find one on eBay for $70, and I never did. And then because I probably forgot about it or didn't think about it or just figured, you know,
it's Crosby. How good could the guy be?
well, I mean, this was probably after he won his first cup, so I should have probably pounced on it then. I know that like my aunt and we bought a bunch of Mario Lemieux rookie cards when he had that maybe when he was going through his back injury, because all of a sudden the price on those were plummeting, and we were just buying them because we both liked Lemieux, and we're just like, well, we know that he's probably going to come back and he's probably going to be awesome, and we were right, So I mean, at the time, and this was pre-internet days, so getting OPC Lemieux rookies for like 100 or less at the time was pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say.
And I think now they're probably worth a little more than that, but as we know, the internet brought the price down, so what was once a $400 card is maybe not always a $400 card unless it's graded. Then that's another thing altogether.
It is.
Let's see. A little later, we're going to talk with Chris Carlin from Upper Deck about the Upper Deck Singles Day promotion, which is coming up Sunday, November 10th. He'll give us all the details about that, like what Singles Day is and what you can expect and how you can participate in their bounty program.
Singles Day is actually the 11th, 1111.
Yes, it is 1111, but the pack giveaway will be on 11/10, and he'll talk more about why that is. Another thing that just happened recently was the two Winter Classic teams, the Nashville Predators and the Dallas Stars, unveiled their Winter Classic jerseys.
They sure did.
For their January 1 game. So, of course, I got things to say, but what do you think?
Well, if you've obviously looked at them, these outdoor games always traditionally come up with some kind of jersey that's supposed to be heritage based and some kind of throwback. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out what in the world Nashville's was modeled after, so I had to look it up.
Oh, okay. So now I can't impress you with knowing the answer because I also looked it up.
Yeah, I had to figure out what the heck that was. The Dallas, I like the Dallas one better than the Nashville one.
Why don't you tell them what the Nashville one is based on?
Well, essentially, it's a throwback to the 1960s Dixie Flyers. And so if you look at the jersey, it's got two solid stripes, and in between the stripes, it's written out in a script, Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And the old Dixie Flyers jersey, I think the colors were switched on it, but it was basically designed the same way with the script of the Dixie Flyers written out across it. So that's kind of the throwback, because I was thinking, okay, Nashville, what hockey team was in Nashville or anywhere near there? And so that turned out to be what it was. So
yeah, and then I wasn't really excited about that jersey. Like I wasn't excited about the look of it, and then I'm like thinking, what did they base it on? So then I started digging, and the Dixie Flyers, an Eastern Hockey League team that played in Nashville from 1962 to 1971. So they're going way back there.
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me either. I mean, it's kind of cool. I'm sure they'll sell tons and tons and tons of them, and not only in Nashville market, but all around, and to all the country music people that pretend to like hockey. So
Mm-hmm. And then the Dallas jersey.
the Dallas jerseys I liked. They're that what do they call it? The Kelly green. Is that what that color is? Uh,
I
or
don't
is
know.
it
They had
a
a different name for it.
different name? Well, whatever. They're all green, but um, the big D right in the middle was kind of cool with the star and the Texas star in the center. So I kind of like those a little more. They were a lot more um, eye appealing, at least to
Mm-hmm.
me. But those were throwbacks too. Um, what was that? The Dallas Texans, I think,
Yes.
was that one?
Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't actually see what a real Dallas Texans jersey looked like to tell if
So
they were that close or not.
they call it Victory Green.
Victory green, that's it.
Victory Green. Yeah. So
That
as
was
far as what the Dallas Texans looked like, if I got that right. Yeah, the Dallas Texans. So these are kind of based on the Dallas Texans, a team that played in the American Hockey Association in 1941-42, and then again in the old United States Hockey League from 1945 to 1951. Now, they don't actually mention the Texans, but on their site, they say, what do they say here? The jersey's retro look celebrates Texas hockey history and the rich heritage that preceded the Dallas Stars franchise, which is pretty vague. And then they show two pictures of these teams, and they're Dallas Texans, and basically it's a big D with the word Texans written in the D, kind of like what they did for the Dallas Stars logo.
I
Um,
got you.
I think I want to like the logo a little bit more now that I know that, but I'm going to tell you that I'm going to bet that like 80% of people in Texas are not going to know that and probably not going to care, and that's okay. It's kind of funny, like when you have a team like the Blackhawks, they've been around for such a long time. They have so much to pull from, and like if they do a Winter Classic or a Heritage Classic or a Stadium Series jersey that doesn't pull from something from like the past 80, 90 years, it's going to upset fans. But when you're a team like the Nashville Predators, you don't. I mean, yeah, you got 20 years of history, but come on, nobody's going to be like, oh, yay, they pulled out the jerseys from 1999, right? I mean, those were pretty terrible. So it's funny what these other teams can do. They kind of like have more room for creativity, and I kind of almost wish that they tried to make like a Dallas, like make it their own thing instead of basing it on this hockey team that played in the 40s, right?
Well, and you also have to remember that's a transplant too. So, I mean, that's the Minnesota North Stars moving to Dallas.
Yeah, but
So,
whenever the what's actually kind of cool is like a couple of years ago when they had the stadium series between the Blackhawks and the Wild, and they did the alumni game. The alumni were wearing North Stars jerseys, like their retro, their their alumni, because most of those guys were like North Stars. You know, when you had like Dino Cicerelli and like Don Beaupre out there, they didn't play for the Wild, so I thought that was
well,
kind of
and
cool.
that makes more sense because that's a Minnesota team, and Minnesota is, I mean, that's Hockeyville, USA, right there.
Right.
So, but you take the North Stars and you move them to Texas, you can hardly call them the North Stars anymore. Hence the name the Stars, which matches with Texas being the Lone Star State. So that kind of fell into place in a nice little package with a bow on top. But you're right, there's not the historical aspect of it. And even if you do consider them, okay, let's say there's the Minnesota North Stars. Again, you're talking about compared to the original six, or even, you know, it's still an expansion team, at
Mm-hmm.
least from the first set of expansion.
Yeah.
So they don't have as big of a history.
So here's a little bit of history for you, a little bit of history slash trivia. So the Chicago Blackhawks actually used to have their farm team in Dallas in the 70s. You know what that team was called?
Uh, No idea.
The Dallas Blackhawks.
Oh, they
And
just flat out called them the Blackhawks.
and the Minnesota North Stars used to have their farm team in Dallas for a while. And you know what the team was called then?
The Dallas Blackhawks.
The Dallas South Stars.
Ah, see.
Seriously.
I got
the
it.
South Stars. I don't get it. But okay, yeah. So
South Stars.
obviously they're not
Huh.
going to use the Dallas Blackhawks
Sure.
history or trivia or not trivia logo or any of that history or stuff like that.
Well, I
So
mean, from an aesthetic standpoint, if I was to choose one or the other, I would pick the Dallas jersey over the
I would
Nashville
too.
one.
I like
Yeah.
that. I kind of wish they just went with the big D, and then maybe people would think, oh, that's too much like Detroit, or like maybe a D with a star in it, and not get. I just feel like there's just too much. Like they're trying to harken back to a team that nobody remembers. And then the other thing I want to point out is that I like that green. I actually like when they change to that victory green. I like the fact that they use a bright color like that. That's like the old North Stars green. What I don't like are the tan colored pants. Like
You didn't like that?
if you're gonna do like the off white and like the brown gloves, then you need to go all out and you need to go with like a really old time look. Nobody in the 30s was actually I wasn't around in the 30s, so I don't know, but I'm gonna bet
Everything was black and white back then.
yeah, everything was black and white back then, right? Or just beige, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you look at like all those think of like all
Sepia color.
Well, think about but even think of like the old trading cards at the time. Like even though they were paintings, they were painted from photographs and they were using, references, they would use the colors of the jerseys at that time. They wouldn't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to give this guy a pink jersey because I can." They would be like, it's a maple leaf and he's wearing a white jersey with blue trim, so that's what we're going to paint this Parkhurst card to look like, or this this old school cigarette card to look like. So yeah, I just felt like it was like a little too much, and I felt like they could have like made it feel a little more traditional or a little less busy, and maybe not did the tan pants. I'm never a fan of that. Looks like a giant diaper.
Yeah, I guess I could see that, especially with all the padding and everything.
Remember the Kings when they wore the white pants many years ago for a Stadium Series game?
Yes.
Yeah, but those weren't really nice, were they? They kind of looked a little.
I suppose not.
I don't know. I mean, I think just like, and I'm trying to remember, was
Maybe
it
if they put a stripe down the side.
was it the Maple Leafs that did the all white, the white jersey, the white pants, the white socks?
Yeah. Maple Leafs had that.
That was cool. That was cool. That I'm gonna actually pull that up. But that was let's see here. That to me was a nice looking. I can't figure out what year it was, but that was a nice Winter Classic or Stadium Series or Heritage Classic jersey. I didn't mind that. I thought that looked kind of neat. But yeah, I think if you're doing like really bright green, that's like modern, and then like these tan pants that are like supposed to look like they're from the 30s, it seemed too much of a mismatch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
Like if they went with like a dark green, like a I don't know, just something that felt like it would be more vintage, then I could see like the brown and the tans going with that really well.
I hear. I got what you're throwing down.
I know I'm such a jersey critic now, right?
I'm definitely not a fashion guru, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
where are they playing this at? Is it the Cotton Bowl? Is that what it's going to be?
Sounds about right. What does Dallas Stars say? Winter Classic, Cotton Bowl Stadium in Dallas.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how the weather is at that point in time.
I love the Winter Classic. I really do.
You don't think the outdoor games are played out?
Oh, totally. But I'll tell you, New Year's Eve, I usually go out. And on New Year's Day, I like to roll out of bed around 10 or 11 and heat up some leftovers. And watch hockey. I just love it. I'm cool with it. It's fun.
I hear you there.
So, changing gears here, our big topic for today was something that Tim brought up a while back when we were like pitching ideas back and forth for podcasts. And one question he asked was, do you buy in-person autographs on the secondary market? And I think that is a really great question because 30 years ago, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Nowadays, I think a lot of collectors probably don't because there's so much certified autographs, whether it is going to um, buying a box of cards and getting an autograph, or going on eBay and saying, hey, I really like Sidney Crosby. I'll pay a lot of money for this Sidney Crosby card that is, from an Upper Deck set, maybe not his rookie year card, but there are ways to get cards like that. Or if you collect, say, like Connor McDavid and you want his autograph, you could go to Upper Deck's website and you could buy like an 8x10 signed by Connor McDavid, or 16x20, or a jersey, or a puck, right? Or if you wanted a signed Connor McDavid card, you could, again, Upper Deck would have that, from one of their recent releases, and you could find that online. So there are ways to get certified autographs where you'll buy it and just know, hey, this autograph is legit, as far as you know, because the person who's selling it is staking their reputation on it. An in-person autograph, though, is a different story. I mean, I was always told, if you want to guarantee the authenticity of an autograph, get it yourself.
Which makes perfect sense because obviously you're there. But I guess where the question comes in is, if you weren't there, but yet somebody else is asserting the fact that they were, because there are dozens and dozens of sellers that are out there online that are attesting to the fact that they get all of their autographs in person at various events, one way or another. And my thing has always been, I look at it two different ways. How many people actually trust what they're getting online?
Mm-hmm.
And two, is there a big difference between what hockey collectors are willing to put up with versus what maybe other sport collectors are willing to put up with, as far as what their tolerance for purchasing something like that, I guess. And that's kind of what I was getting at with that idea. Because I mean, here's the thing: we all know this. Everybody that's in the hobby, whether you collect hockey cards, basketball cards, football, baseball, whatever, Pokemon, Garbage Pail Kids, it doesn't matter. There is massive, massive, massive amounts of fraud out there. It's
With Garbage
exposed
Pail Kids?
with everything. I mean, with
So
everything.
this card of Adam Bomb is not really signed by Adam Bomb.
I
Mind
will
blown.
I will guarantee you that you will find forged Series 1 and Series 2 original Garbage Pail Kids. I bet you will find them. But anyway, that's a different story. I'm just saying there's so much fraud out there and it's exposed all the time. I mean, even NBC News did a story like back in March about somebody selling a fake Trump autograph online, and it was I guess during some kind of campaign or whatever. Trump shows up somewhere and people are handing him stuff to sign, blah blah blah. Somebody handed him a Bible, and he supposedly signed this Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they were selling this, and you know it was fake. And authenticators looked at this thing and they're like, yeah, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. The person selling it basically told NBC to, you know, screw off and not to contact them ever again, or they were going to get their lawyers involved and threatened to sue them
Mm-hmm.
for harassment or whatever. But I mean, even PSA, who's embroiled in a questionable thing right now, even the PSA officials came out during that whole expose that NBC did and said that In their minds, over 50% of all autographs on eBay right now are fake. Yet eBay does nothing about it. You know why? Because they
Why?
make money off of this stuff. So even though they say you can't sell fraudulent things, there's nobody going through every single auction of everything somebody's trying to sign or sell that's
Sell.
signed by something or by someone going, oh, is this real? Nope. Is this real? Nope. Is this real? No, there isn't. Because eBay makes money off of all of this stuff and they don't care unless somebody brings it up. If nobody brings it up, they're not going to check. So it's like the common card collector that goes out there and is looking for, I don't know, you brought up Corey Crawford earlier. So let's
Yep.
talk about Corey Crawford. He's not a super, I wouldn't consider him to be a, superstar by any means, but he's a regional star. And I would even say to hockey fans, he's sort of a star. Plus he's big in the goalie community because there's a lot of people that collect goalies.
Hmm.
Well, somebody goes out there looking for a Corey Crawford autograph, finds somebody that might be selling one. It's signed, and they say, oh, well, we got this in person. Okay, how do we know? Well, what are they going to provide you? Are they going to provide you, you know, a certificate of authenticity? How many dealers out there say, oh, certificate of authenticity, that's not worth the paper it's printed on.
Right.
I've heard that hundreds of times. So okay, if that's not worth anything, so what do you go with? Do they give you a guarantee? Hey, is this going to guarantee to be authenticated? And if it isn't, are you going to give me my money back? I don't know. I doubt that many dealers are going to do that, especially the unscrupulous ones. Maybe the ones that are reputable, but there's so much of it out there. It's like that's why I really question, is it even worth it to test the waters unless you absolutely know that the person you're buying from is trustworthy?
So that's a good question. And I was thinking, like, so if I'm going to buy something autographed, so there's a few things. Something like an 8x10, I can get that signed by a player. Like, I guess it depends. Well, the first thing I ask myself is, who is selling the autograph? Like, do I know the seller? Whose autograph is it of? How much is it? And what do I know about that player? So just give you like some examples here. Like when I got really back into collecting around 2006, and I was working a good job and I was going to shows and I was like really back into collecting. So there was one seller that I'd always see at the card show out in Rosemont, and they have like 10 tables full of books, full of signed 8x10s. That's all they sell is signed stuff. And I would look at their books and I'd say, I really want that player's autograph, and they'd have tons of signed photos by all the players, like many players, right? And so sometimes what I do is I look at autographs of players that I've met and gotten signatures from, and if it looks what I think it should look like, then I go, okay, that kind of passes one test in my mind. Like I've seen Chris Chelios's autograph hundreds of times. I've even seen Wayne Gretzky's autograph enough times that I would look at it and go, yeah, that looks right to me. Um, I think that so from that dealer in particular, all they sold were autographs, and they had tons of it. So I had a lot of faith in them because that was their business. And if uh, if they were selling fraudulent stuff, that would kill their business. Versus like the person who's like, "Hey, I got this puck signed by Wayne Gretzky. Do you want, you know what I mean, for sale?" And well, how'd you get it? Oh, well, a friend gave it to me, right? And then it doesn't seem like then you already have some questions. Does that make sense though? Like who
Oh,
the seller
it
is?
makes perfect sense
Yeah,
because you have to establish that. And just like with anything else, you're not going to buy something from someone, autograph or otherwise, that you don't trust, you
right.
know?
And so
And I mean, that's important.
So, so that was like one example. And then like having gone to shows for years, I know a lot of this, I see a lot of the same dealers and I know a lot of them. And so like, I'll say, oh, when did you get this signed? And they'll say, oh, at blah, blah, blah back in whenever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember, like I remember that. Yeah. Like there used to be this thing called the Chicago Hockey Show. So I just said to him, I'm like, oh, that's cool. When did you get all these autographs on it? It's like, oh, I got it back at the Chicago Hockey Show in 91. I'm go, oh yeah, I remember that, or like, and I know these guys, so if I buy like a signed puck from them or something, I'm not worried about it. I know like one year I bought a Maurice Richard postcard that was signed in ballpoint pen, and I want to say I paid about $70 for it. This was a good 10 years after he had passed away. And I looked at it and I thought hard about it. And I knew this dealer, I had seen him forever. So I didn't, maybe been seeing him for like past 5 years at different shows and stuff. I had no question in my mind that it was authentic. It was a nice signature on an old black and white postcard, and I ended up buying it because I don't think I had anything signed by Rocket Richard. And I'm happy I bought that. I mean, there's a certain amount of trust that you have. I remember there was a great article.
Let me ask you before you go on from there.
Yeah.
Did you ever think, or did the thought ever cross your mind, or maybe you even had gotten that authenticated later on?
I didn't really think about it.
Okay.
I was just like,
that's fair. That's fair. That's perfectly fair.
It's a postcard of somebody who's in the Hall of Fame, who at that point had been dead for more than 10 years. And it seemed legit in, like, let me give you like a for instance, like, or not a for instance, but this thing I was going to bring up. The Onion newspaper many years ago, when they still had a newspaper, not just a website, they had a joke about sports memorabilia and a lot of it being fake. And then one guy's response was like, so you mean this aluminum bat signed in Sharpie marker by Babe Ruth isn't authentic? Oh no, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, obviously because they don't use aluminum bats and they didn't have aluminum bats back then, and also because they didn't have Sharpie markers back then. But that's the thing, like if it kind of fits with the style of the time, does does it seem right to you? Does it seem off to you?
Right.
So you see a lot of
sense.
older players would sign things in ballpoint pen. So that was like one example that I was thinking about. Like I remember another time I was at a show. You'll remember this was a couple of years ago. And some guy had like a Mario Lemieux signed card, and I asked him, like, can I take a picture of this? He's like, sure. And I took a picture of it and I texted it to you, and I said, does this look legit to you? And you were like, I'd be very wary about that.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yes, because Lemieux has a very distinct signature.
Right.
And it has varied at times, but generally it stays very similar. Now, obviously, it depends on how he's signing. Like, if you get him to sign something outside of a normal organized setting, it may appear a little slightly different. But the one you sent me, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, and that can happen. I mean, I remember like when I used to see Dale Talon all the time in the 80s and 90s when he was with the Blackhawks, and then even in the 2000s when he was with the, as a GM, when he would sign something, he would do a very nice signature. But I remember one time I asked him to sign a puck, and his handlers were like, Dale has to go, Dale has to go, right? So like he took my marker and he didn't take the puck, like the puck was still in my hand, and he took the marker and he just kind of scribbled his name. It was like the most pathetic, sad autograph. I was so bummed out because it was a 1972 Team Canada puck that had his face in black and white, like a nice black and white picture.
Oh, geez.
I brought a silver marker, and he like scrawled this really terrible autograph that just looks like a D in a line, whereas usually he would like turn a hockey card sideways so he could sign it, like he'd sign it along the side, so not to, or if it was like wherever he could fit the signature, but it would be a really nice full letter signature. And like I had another puck that was Dennis Hull from the Team Canada 72, and he signed it really gorgeously, right? So I was going to put those two together, but the Talon one is just really crummy looking. So I could see how somebody would look at that and say, that's not Dale Talon's autograph, where I'd say it is absolutely his autograph. I got it at the Chicago Blackhawk convention in 2008, and I was holding the puck, he was holding the marker, and he just kind of went, while his bodyguards or whatever was like, Mr. Talon has a meeting or whatever.
But you have that story to go with.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get rid
of
of
the key.
I'm not going to sell the puck. That's not why I got it signed.
Sure.
I have this memory attached
And that's exactly it. Us that are collectors and we have these memories that go with things, those are great stories to tell. There's stories to tell each other, stories to chat about, stories that we're having the conversation, tell our kids, pass it on from generation to generation. And that's really cool. But where it goes from a really cool story to the dark side is when you go from, here I have this puck that's really cool in my collection, to here I have this puck, I got it signed, I'm going to try to make $50 off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it flips.
Right.
And that's that's why we get into this thing, is just there's so much gray area of how do you know? And not everybody can be an autograph expert, but if you're going to go out there and you're going to buy something that's not authenticated, and even if it is authenticated, you got to look at who's authenticating. But if you're going to go out there and do that, you got to do your homework. I mean, you really do.
Yeah, and like a couple of years ago, I was at a Blackhawk convention, and I see a lot of the same dealers there, and I see some of them at the show in Rosemont, and then I see some of them when the Blackhawks have their training camp fest. They'll have like a little mini convention in the lobby and stuff like that. And this guy that I knew, he had some things signed by Bobby Hull, and he had some things signed by Chris Chelios. They were trading cards, and I bought them, and they weren't a lot of money. He just had a lot of them, and he was just marking some of them down. So some of the Hull autographs were like $10, and I think he had a couple of Chelios autographs for $5 each. And I've gotten autographs from both of those guys so many times, or I've seen Hull's autograph so many times. I only got an in-person signature from him one time, but I've seen his autograph a million times. He autographs a lot of stuff. And Chelios, I mean, I don't know if he autographs a bit. He does signings and stuff. He wasn't necessarily a tough autograph to get when he was with Chicago, but I know what his signature looks like. So I looked at that. I'm like, yep, that's Chelios autograph, $5. Here you go. Right? Didn't even think about it. Wasn't even worried about it. He could have maybe he could have forged it. Maybe he could have tried to forge it really well. But that was when I go back to my point of how much is it? Like, who the hell is going to waste their time forging a $5 autograph? Yeah. Right? So, story, this is actually a secondhand story. When I was at the National this year, I actually got two National stories, but I'll tell you this first one. I stopped at this table that was selling non-sports cards, lots of old cigarette and tobacco cards. I pull up a chair. I'm going through these books. It's this older couple. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I buy non-sports cards. My girlfriend likes non-sports cards. And when I go to the National, I try to get her old tobacco cards and tea cards. So, of course, they just thought, oh, you're such a great boyfriend because you're buying your girlfriend all these old cards from our table, all these like vintage 1930s birds of the world or 1920s, player cigarettes, dogs of the USA or whatever. So they're telling me that the previous year, so in 2018, they were at the National, and at the booth across from them was a dealer that was selling bootleg Michael Jordan autographs. And he was arrested at the show, and they were laughing because they were like, come on, he had so many basketballs that were signed by Jordan. I mean, who the hell has that many Michael Jordan autographed items at their table at a show? And the only answer should be Upper Deck Authenticated, because they are the ones who sell signed Jordan memorabilia. So the fact that this guy had all this fake Jordan stuff and they arrested him at the show, and I guess what they told me is that he saw the police at his table and he ran, but he ran into the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
So
one way in and one way out.
One way in and one way out, right? So that was the end of that. So I think about that and I'm like, yeah, I mean, if it's somebody selling Gretzky autographs, I'm going to be very curious, unless it's like something that came from a pack of cards. I'm going to be very curious about that.
And it wasn't at the National, but I think one of the Chicago shows years ago, there was a guy that had a table full of, um, I could only imagine, like basically through the mail autographs,
Yep.
or they would have been in person. And there was like a whole box of hockey ones. And, I sifted through it and I looked at a lot of them. And, there were a lot that were signed with ballpoint pen or felt tip pens, not Sharpies. And it's like, in the last probably 10 years, Sharpie has pretty much been what the go-to for what most
Right.
people use to
Right.
sign on cards. So the fact that a lot of these are signed with ballpoint pen, they may be legit. I don't know. But he was selling them for cheap,
Hmm.
$2-3 a piece. He had a thing of pucks, and all these pucks were signed, and they were $5 each. And there was a Mark Messier signed one in there.
Hmm.
And I'm like, Mark Messier for $5? No way. And I looked at
Hmm.
this thing and I stared at this thing for, I don't know, 10 minutes. And I knew I have seen Mark Messier's autograph before, and something wasn't sitting right about this one. Because anytime I've ever seen Messier sign, he signs his name together,
Hmm.
and there's a big M and there's another big M, but it's kind of intermixed. So the first one's distinguished, the second one's kind of mixed into the little fluff as it goes across. But this was distinct, Mark Messier, like you could read it.
Hmm.
And I just kept looking at this thing going, something is just not right about this. And I didn't buy it. I left it there. But, you know, if it was legit, well, I made the worst deal by walking away from it. But there's no way I could have trusted it. There isn't. None in the world.
I got one more story I'd like to share about an autograph. It's funny that you said signed in ballpoint pen and hockey autographs. So I was at a show in 1990.
Because I'm the king of segues.
Yeah. Uh, I was at a show in 1990 with my mother because I was like 15, and this guy had books and books and books of cards that were signed. And he had a lot of Blackhawks, and I knew at the time I knew what Keith Brown's autograph looked like. I knew what Steve Conroy's autograph looked like. I knew like a lot of these guys because I had gotten their autographs in person a few times. So I was kind of looking, and then a lot of the autographs were like personalized to Tony, to Tony, to Tony, right? And a forger wouldn't really forge a name to it. You know what I mean? They would keep it just,
Yeah,
the
unless
name.
you're Tony, you're not going to buy that.
Right. So I say to the guy, how much are these cards? And he says, oh, they're $4 each. My mom's like, $4 each? That's a lot of money. And I kind of give my mom like a little tap under the table with my foot. Like we're standing there. And because I spotted a 72-73 Marcel Dion Topps card, signed in ballpoint pen, neatly signed in ballpoint pen. And I'm like, that is a nice, thinking that is a nice card. And my mom's like, okay, you can buy one. So I grabbed the Marcel Dion card and paid $4 for it and kept it all these years. Okay, fine. So as far as I knew, it was signed by Marcel Dion probably back in the 70s or 80s because it was in ballpoint pen. So many years later, I see Marcel Dion at a show. I'm getting things signed by him, a couple different things signed. I show him the card that I bought back in 1990, and I'm like, Mr. Dion, I bought this card back in 1990. I was like 15 years old. I was really excited when I bought it. I've had it all these years. Can you tell me, is that your autograph? And he takes it out of the holder and he looks at it and he goes, no, that's my wife's autograph. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, she used to answer my mail. If I had to answer all my mail myself, it would have taken me forever. It would have taken me over 2 years to get back to somebody. So his wife used to answer his mail. So then he puts the card down on the table, he grabs a marker, and then he signs it in Sharpie marker. So I now have a Marcel Dion card that is signed by him and signed by his wife. And what was funny is when he signed that, he said to me as he handed the card back to me, her signature is worth more than my signature. And so I think that is a great story. It was worth $4 and 30-year wait to find the truth behind it. I'm not mad about it. I think it's actually kind of funny that his wife used to answer his mail.
And that's a great story.
But at the time, being 15 years old and looking at the other autographs that the guy had, and some were personalized, and some were of players that I recognized their signature from. But Marcel Dion, I had no idea what his autograph looked like. And now I do, and I know what his wife's autograph looks like too.
And it's funny you say that, and you add the story about it, and it's very anecdotal, and it's an entertaining story, and it's awesome. But there's so many cases that are similar to that. I mean, look at how many players over the years had their wives or their agents or, you know, son, daughter, servant, whoever sign for them, or, ghostwriters, or, the whole rampant auto pens that have been out there.
Tim,
Right.
do you have another story? Maybe not even hockey related, just any sport.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't hockey related, but so baseball, there are a ton and ton of baseball players, both past and present, that have been accused of using auto pens or ghost signers, or using stamps, especially on through the mail and various things. But one player in particular, and I don't know if you remember, but but an old pitcher for the Pirates named John Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
John Smiley, um, actually later on in his career admitted that pretty much anybody that sends him anything through the mail, um, are not legit, right?
Okay.
Um, Somebody else signs for him, or whatever. So I had 3 John Smiley cards on card signed by John Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're signed by John Smiley because I was there when I got them signed.
Okay.
And I had these cards for years, and I had I had another collector some years later, after all of this had come out, um, basically get into a very heated argument with me about how they were fake and it was
Mm-hmm.
impossible that they could have been real.
Mm-hmm.
And the story, I said, was made up because there's no way he ever signed anything in person. And I know because I was there.
Mm-hmm.
There were other kids there that could verify as well if I could find them and knew where they existed nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But I physically know that he signed, and I got him to sign. I got Sid Bream's autograph at the same time. Um, he was there also signing, and I had him sign. He used to sign Bible scriptures with all of his signatures. So, and that's just something there. But here's the very thing. I was there. I got it signed. But because of what happened later on in his career and the fact that he admitted that he didn't sign anything, so unless you got something early on in his career signed by him, it was pretty much not going to be real from that point forward.
Mm-hmm.
There are other players like that, like Tom Glavine's another big one. John Smoltz is another one. Seems like a lot of pitchers. I mean, there was the longest time, and I don't know if he does this anymore, but Nolan Ryan used to be one that if you sent him something through the mail and you got it back signed, it was fake unless you sent him a donation.
Oh,
If you sent him a donation, it was real. But if you didn't send him a donation, it was fake.
By donation, do you mean like a $20 bill, or do you mean like an actual check to like a charity?
I can't speak to that because I never actually attempted to do that. I was never big in the through the mail kind of thing, so that wasn't my bag. So
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that's nice though is, at least as far as being a hockey collector, is that when I used to do through the mail autographs, I had a really high success rate with hockey players, and I would argue that the likelihood of the fakes is way, 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 way less than with baseball. Like with baseball, those players get so much mail, and I think with like football, those players probably get a lot more mail. And I think with basketball, I think like a lot of the players maybe feel a little entitled and don't want to sign anything. I'm sure there are players who sign and do nice stuff, but I would think
sure.
that a lot of them would just be like, nah, I'm making $20 million a year. Why do I want to sign this kid's card? Right. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Right. And
Well, and I've always been willing to have the argument with anybody that hockey players are way more accessible to their fans than other sports players.
well, that's because at like 15 or 16 years old, they're riding buses and playing junior hockey, most of them, or the ones that like matured later on in their hockey careers, like somebody like, say, like a Jonathan Taves who played like college hockey, you know, or like trying to think of another example, even like a Keith Kachuk who played like college hockey. You know what I mean? Like those guys, I mean, they're humbled. They're humbled by just the experiences that they've had before they made it to the NHL. So yeah, they're
I
a lot
agree.
more
They're grounded and they don't forget where they came from.
they're grounded. They don't forget where they came from, and they're always happy to give back. And then a lot of them even just have like their own experiences. I mean, Jeremy Roenick talks about like how he remembers meeting Gordie Howe and just what a big deal it was. Like it wasn't even like meeting. It was like I don't know if he was like he said he was at a game. This was in his book. He was in a game and he was up against the glass and he was trying to get Gordie Howe's attention. And Gordie Howe like took his stick and he like scooped like a shovel full of like the ice shavings and he tossed it over the glass onto Roenick. And he was like, you know, like 5 or 10, and he was like surprised that his jaw dropped open. And then Gordie just looked him in the eye and winked and smiled. And then Roenick knew, okay, he acknowledges me, and he just thought that was the coolest thing. He calls it his Gordie Howe moment, right? Where like he just made that, you know, like he knew that Gordie was just messing with him, and it, you know, he was, and he just thought that was the coolest thing. And
he said,
so
one day I'm going to be a hockey player. And
right, exactly. And so I think that's what I think that's one reason why is because even like the older generation of hockey players were nicer to the younger generation who came in and eventually became NHLers. So I think that is nice that you know, I did actually get funny that you mentioned this. Many years ago I wrote to Wayne Gretzky when he was with the Blues. Okay, so
that's whale hunting right there.
Well, okay, well hold on. I knew never to write to him when he was with the Kings because I just knew he was going to get a mountain of mail. And that if he did answer his fan mail, my letter would take forever to get answered, right? But when the day he got traded to the Blues, like that night, I wrote a fan letter and I sent it to the Blues because I figured, hey, the mountain of mail is going to be packed up and forgotten about. And now any mail that he gets in St. Louis is going to be like, you know, just come to him right away, and then he'll just, you know, hopefully maybe he'll get his attention. You know what I mean? Because that'll be like a new batch of mail. So,
the logic makes sense.
well, I did get a response, and it was probably like 2 months later. It was probably after the season wrapped up. Could have been sooner than that. I'm not sure, but it was pretty darn quick. Only one card was signed. It was okay. It was the All-Star 1991, or sorry, it was the 91-92 Pro Set All-Star card from the 1991 All-Star game that was in Chicago Stadium. I went to that game, so I wanted to get all of those All-Star cards signed. So I was really happy that that was the one that he chose to sign. Well, he didn't really sign it. It was an auto pen. At the time, I didn't realize this because auto pen was not part of my language. It was not something I would have understood. What was funny was many years later on eBay, somebody was selling a card signed by Wayne Gretzky. And the reason why nobody bid on it against me was because the seller misspelled Gretzky. I only happened to just stumble on the card by sheer luck, probably because I was looking at another item that he had. And so I end up getting this card for something ridiculous, like $1 or $5, right? Whatever. I'm like, might be legit, might not, but I'll take that chance, right? Well, here's the thing. It was an auto pen. It was the exact same auto pen. The signature was identical to the one on the card that I got signed back in 96. Nice. So I was just like, okay, well, now I have 2 fake autographs of Gretzky, and that's fine because whatever. I mean, one I wrote and he didn't sign it, and this other one I paid like next to nothing for. But it was just more kind of cool to see that, like, just this identical autograph on these 2 things, and then just know, okay, yep, I know for a fact that this is not real.
It took that long in between, but you figured out that, hey, wait a minute, something's not right here because it's doubled up. Yeah,
I think I scanned them both in Photoshop, and then I like layered one on top of the other one so that I could like actually just get the autograph to match perfectly, and it did. I mean, same size, same everything, you know. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, I don't expect that, you know. Didn't really expect. I mean, I understand. And now if you want to get something signed by Gretzky, he only signs through Upper Deck Authenticated, so that's where you would buy something, I guess, if you want to shell out a lot of coin for a signed puck or signed stick or signed poster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coincidentally, I did actually end up getting Gretzky's autograph for real many years later at a raffle that Upper Deck was running at the National, and I won a big.
You got that gigantic card, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a big Wayne Gretzky card signed in blue Sharpie, so I know that's legit. And that's probably the only Gretzky autograph I'll ever need.
I pulled the one out of Masterpieces a few years ago. That and the Bobby Orr that I pulled out of MVP were my 2 crowning achievements.
Out of MVP, wow.
Yeah, it was one of those NHL Territories cards.
Yep.
And they had the rare versions that were actually autographed. We pulled the Bobby Orr. So.
Well, this has been a fun little conversation about autograph collecting, and if you buy in-person autographs.
It definitely has. I think the moral of the story is just be careful.
Yeah, if you have an autograph story you'd like to share, you could find us on Twitter. You could find me at Puck Junk. You could find Tim at The Real DFG. In a minute, we're going to be joined by Chris Carlin of Upper Deck, who's going to tell us about the new Upper Deck Singles Day promotion. I am now joined by Chris Carlin of Upper Deck. Chris, I keep forgetting what your job title is because it's like 2 sentences long.
It's
with Upper Deck?
quite a bit. I'm currently the senior manager of customer experience.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's shorter and sweet and to the point. So thank you for joining us today. I'm excited about this new, well, I guess it's not really a new Upper Deck promotion, but it's new to me because I have not been aware of this before. Upper Deck Singles Day. Now, is this for like card collectors who are not in a relationship? They're single. They can meet other card collectors. Is that the idea?
Yeah. If it's your relationship is complicated, no. Singles Day is actually a huge promotion that a company called Alibaba runs. It's basically the Chinese Amazon. It's just an early shopping day. It's kind of like the Black Friday for China. There's a huge amount of commerce that's done, and as we're moving to become more of an international player, we just love the sound of Singles Day, from our industry standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to grab it and plant our flag in there and run a fun promotion around Singles Day. And that's really what we did last year. We created these kits, and pretty much every manufacturer has a holiday type of promotion. What I like about this one is it's a little earlier, and it's a pretty cool set. This year, there's going to be a 20 card set. You've got Michael Jordan, Patrick Waugh, Alexis Lafreniere, Wayne Gretzky, LeBron James, Serena Williams, Ben Simmons, Tiger Woods, Nathan McKinnon, Steven Stamkos, Jack Eichel, Carey Price, Johnny Gaudreau, Elias Pettersson, Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Philip Zadina, Patrick Kane, and John Tavares, all rounding out the set. So just a lot of superstar power, and it's a fun set to put together. But really why we run this promotion is to give people a real easy way to complete a bounty program. Our bounty programs, we've been running a couple years now, and it basically is designed to get people to do something that they don't do so much anymore: collect sets. And, people are always looking for, hey, what's my hit, or things along those lines. Well, one of the learnings that we had from EPAC is that people will collect sets if you give them some type of achievement or reward. And that's exactly what the bounty program does. But the problem is most bounties are pretty hard to complete. What I like about Singles Day is, you just need a few different packs and you should be able to complete a set. And each card has codes on the back for the base set. You could redeem them online starting on 11/11 at upperdeckbounty.com. And it's probably the easiest bounty you could ever take part in. There are some really cool parallel sets and parallel cards that you could score by, being one of the first 135 to get in there. But there are some big autograph cards numbered to just 3 copies. There is a Patrick Waugh, Wayne Gretzky numbered to 3. There's a Tiger Woods, Serena Williams numbered to 3. There's a Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby numbered to 3. And I think that's one of the first times those two have ever signed together.
Are these found in packs, or these are some of the bounty rewards?
These are some of the bounty rewards.
Gotcha.
So the main insert in the packs is a parallel number to 25. I believe those are the Winter Frost cards.
Mhm.
But the real fun happens when you are on upperdeckbounty.com on 11/11. The bounty goes live at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and enter those codes and have some fun. Also on Monday, you want to be following Upper Deck on at Upper Deck Sports and at Upper Deck Hockey on Twitter. We're going to be running a variety of Singles Day social media giveaways where you could score some memorabilia or some boxes of trading cards as well. So it should be really fun.
So when is the singles day then? As far as like the day that the packs are going to be given away?
They'll start being given away on 11/10.
Mm-hmm.
11/11 is traditionally 1/1/1/1 is traditionally Singles Day.
Makes
So
sense.
that's when our promotion for the social media contest and the Upper Deck Bounty program will start.
And I believe besides the autograph cards as a bounty incentive, was there also some sort of a parallel set that was being given away as part of the bounty program this year?
Yeah, there are a few different levels of parallels. So there's gold parallels, there's autograph parallels, there's UDA autograph pieces that can be scored. So there's a lot of value and fun that comes from this simple 20 card set, right? So it can be a little tricky if you got to if only if you only have one shop in the area that has these packs, it can be a little tricky to put together the set. But you want to try to have that set ready to go that Monday. We'll take them until the following Friday, but it usually fills up pretty quick. People are pretty good about putting their sets together, going to different shops, trading with other collectors, and getting it done.
Now these packs are available if you make a purchase, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So if the dealer wants to, like if you make several purchases, they're at their discretion if they want to give you like more than one pack. If you like, you said it was every like for a $10 purchase.
Yes. So it is at the dealer's discretion, but most play it pretty safe, and they'll go with the old, first people here, first ones that get it. So
Right. Don't want to run out right away. Yeah,
yeah,
it totally makes sense. Do you know how many cards are per pack?
3 cards per pack.
Oh, okay. So it's going to take you 18. It's about 7 or 8 packs if if the collation
If the
is
collation is about right, yeah.
is about right. Yeah. Okay. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but not impossible. And a lot of times, like I mean, even like some shops with hockey card day, they don't run out the first day, especially in the United States. I know in Canada, it's like way more popular. In some states and some shops, they'll have them like maybe that Sunday or Monday, and then they'll just continue the program, the free pack or whatever with the purchase or whatever. So I mean, it is definitely doable. 20 cards. It's not like 100 cards. That would be the Tim Hortons set, right? Aren't those
Yes.
three
Yeah.
cards, 3 cards per pack? And then I wanted to ask you, so 20 cards and starts gives away on 11/10, and then on 11/11 is when the website is going to start accepting those bounties. So,
Correct. And so each of the bounties are rewarded randomly. So the full period, we have to get through that first week. And then on your individual account, you'll see, I scored the green parallel set number to 99, or the silver parallel set number to 25, or the version number to 10, or the version number to 1, or some of those really cool double autograph cards I talked about. And it's worthy to note there's a separate promotion for China as well. So they have their own bounty. So you might see some interesting cards if you collect internationally or have some collecting buddies over in China. We have a similar but a little bit different promotion running through them. So look out for some of the action on those as well.
So my question is, because it's always a concern whenever you have something happen on a website. A couple of weeks ago, another card company, they were selling these packs of cards and their website crashed, or their website was running really slow. And my co-host, Tim, he was trying to order these packs and it kept timing out. It kept telling him that he had to remove items from his cart. It didn't work. And it's the same thing like when you try to get, like, say, sports tickets and you go online and then you're trying to order the tickets, and then all of a sudden it becomes really slow because you have thousands of people trying to do something at the same time. So if I'm
Yeah,
a
totally.
diehard
It's one of those
collector,
fun ones where it's like, gosh, the internet's supposed to make things easier, right? And all of a sudden, it just makes for an even worse customer experience. We had a little learning pains with that last year. There was a period where people were having some trouble getting on, but we've done a lot of stress testing since then, and have worked with our partners to make sure that the site can handle the traffic that we expect. There's always possibilities that it could be more than we anticipate, but we know how many cards we're making. We know how many sets are capable of. So I feel good that there shouldn't be a negative experience with this.
So when people log on, I assume they have to register for an account before they can enter in these codes?
Yes.
And then do they have to enter in, they'll have to enter in the codes on all 20 cards?
Correct.
And then after then, they'll know eventually what reward they received, right? Is that how it works? Okay.
They'll know that they're one of the top 135 to get in there, and then they will, after the promotion ends, we distribute the cards in a random fashion. We didn't want it to be a race, where
Right.
the first person who gets it in gets the 1-of-1 set or gets the Tiger Serena card, because, it's just then it's about who could type the quickest. We really wanted it to be kind of a fair and random type of program. And really, again, just to give everyone the benefit of seeing what the Upper Deck Bounty website is all about and how the program really works.
That sounds cool. I know you haven't announced anything about this yet, but can we expect Hockey Card Day maybe next year as well?
Absolutely. That's been one of our most successful promotions. We have solicited it to hobby shops, and it will take place on the same day as the Stadium Series. So we'll do activations there, which should be really cool. It's in Colorado at the Air Force Academy. So that'll be a really cool event. But yeah, that's a fun day. We used to run it on actual hockey day in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found was, because they have all-day hockey games going on, it was hard for people to get out and visit those shops because they wanted to watch hockey, right? And it's also a little colder then, so we moved it back just a couple weeks to allow for hopefully some better ways to get out to shops. We had situations in the past, if it's in early February, that it's just too hard, late January, for people to get out and get to shops based on weather. So by moving it back to the same day as the Stadium Series, usually it's weather's a little bit better, knock on wood. So that one will be coming back. And then, man, we've got the release of the Young Guns coming this week for Upper Deck Series 1, which everyone is just very fired up about. I'm excited about. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to share this, but I will, because it's coming this week. We did a massive buyback program where for Upper Deck Series 1 and Series 2, this is the 30th consecutive year of Upper Deck producing this trading card set. So we bought back every base card and Young Guns card from the last 30 years. Each of those is being marked as 1-of-1. So the first 15 years will come in Upper Deck Series 1, and the second 15 years will come in Upper Deck Series 2. So that's a pretty cool and unique type of promotion that I think people will be pretty excited about when they're opening packs, to kind of get a feel for the history of everything that we've done over the last 30 years with this release.
Are those buybacks signed or unsigned?
They're unsigned, but they are stamped with the 30th anniversary and a 1-of-1 marking.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So, Chris, before I let you go, again, what's that website address that people can go to if they want to find a retailer near them who's participating in the Singles Day promotion this weekend?
That is upperdeck.com/Singles Day.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I hope we can talk to you again sometime in the future.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and should be a lot of fun. We've got Fall Expo coming up in a couple weeks. We've got Western Canada Collecting Show coming up in Langley, Vancouver at the end of this month. So lots of fun things going on. Global Series this week. So lots of great hockey action and hockey collecting action as well. So looking forward to it, and make sure you visit your shops on Singles Day.
I'd like to thank Chris Carlin from Upper Deck for joining us today. I'd also like to thank my co-host, Tim Parish, and I'd like to thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to it, and if you've really enjoyed this podcast, consider buying a t-shirt at shop.puckjunk.com. Until next week, I'm Sal Berry, and thank you again for listening.
For more hockey goodness, follow us on Twitter @PuckJunk.